I'm a pastor. We're having lunch, and I'm like, so I'm looking for a worship guy. I've got tons of options. What should I consider?
Well, if you're a pastor and you're looking for a worship leader, or you have money in your budget to hire somebody, what kind of person would you hire? What kind of person are you hoping to have fill your stage? I mean, there's all sorts of different kinds of options. You could hire somebody who leads worship like 50 weeks a year, sings great, plays great, has a kind of vocal that people talk about. Man, I really want to go back and I want to hear that person sing. You could hire somebody who is a developer. You could hire somebody who's passionate about raising up people to lead, and so their goal is to share the platform almost as much as possible. They can lead worship, but at the same time, they really love raising up and developing other worship leaders, and they're secure enough in and of themselves to give away what they have. You can hire somebody like that. You can even hire someone who kind of knows about worship and really cares about worship, cares about what happens when we sing. Maybe doesn't even play an instrument, but knows how to pastor people, and knows how to recruit, knows how to train, knows how to, gather. One of those three people, and in some cases, the first two categories, the really killer vocal and the developer, you can find people like that. They're very few and far between, but man, I have to tell you that if you're going to hire anybody, you should hire somebody in the second category. You should hire somebody who can lead worship and understands what happens when we lead here, particularly in our unique charism as a Vineyard. They understand the whole thing that we're doing. They understand the fact that we care about intimacy, we care about hunger, we care about the encounter, but we also are highly attuned to how worship forms us. You can hire somebody like that, but whose chief passion is they are secure enough that they want to give away the thing that they have on stage. I just think hiring that person is great, because you will always need more worship leaders, especially if, I know most of pastors, as you're listening to this, you're thinking, how can my church grow? You're not thinking about, how can my church stay the same size? Hopefully you're thinking about the expansion of the kingdom through your church, and so maybe you're going to blow up, and maybe you're going to have a bunch of sites. Well, you're going to need somebody who can develop people. You're going to need somebody who can really, really train. They're not going to hold tightly the thing that they have on stage. I think that's what you really, really want. Because then you may have the person, the developer, who finds the killer vocal and who's secure enough to raise up the killer vocal and to give them space on stage. I'd rather have the guy who develops a bunch of guys who are killer vocals than the killer vocal who is just 50 weeks a year, gets sick, then you don't know what to do. If you can find developers, find people that can train young worship leaders as well as people who are seasoned, that's going to be a huge win in so many different ways. The good news about the three categories is that, especially the second category, leadership is actually a skill. It's innate to us to a certain degree, but you can get better at developing, and you can get better at leading. You can learn how to become the kind of person who is a developer. And so maybe you have somebody who's a killer vocal and who is your favorite worship leader. They lead all the time. You always want them leading. For every single one of your big services, you want them leading, but you become aware that having other worship leaders in the fold would be amazing. You can take that killer vocal, or you can take your current worship leader and you can help them become a developer. You can really help them learn how to lead. You can really help them learn how to develop other people. I think the Vineyard is the perfect place to train whoever you have to become more of a developer. We have Vineyard School of Worship, we have Vineyard Retreats, we have all sorts of different opportunities that really lean into this thing that I think we've cared about from the beginning, equipping and training and helping people become better at particularly this thing, releasing other people into ministry. So I think it's a no-brainer. Send them to everything that you can send them to, because there will always be a flavor of that equipping at it.